Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, talking American soccer is Logan. How are you today, Logan?
Good, Jordan. I'm good. It's very exciting that we're getting narrowed down in this tournament. I feel like we've gotten some really good results, so I'm really excited to talk about the success that MLS has had. Um, I'm sure we can talk about it as a bigger topic, but I don't know. I'm pretty pleased with the way that this has turned out, and I think it helps playing U.S. side. But um, yeah, I'm excited about today. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, talking about another tournament winding down. The Olympics are winding down. U.S. women are through to the semis. They'll face Germany Tuesday, so probably the day you're listening to this, you're going to be getting ready to watch that game. U.S. versus Germany in the semis, with the final being on the 10th, which is Saturday if they make it that far. Brazil and Spain in the other matchup. USA beat Japan. I was going to say Japanese. I was going to say the Japanese team, but then I was going to say Japan, and it was all confusing me. U.S. beat Japan 1-0 on August 3rd. It took Trinity Rodman scoring in extra time. Wasn't like a great game with chances for the U.S. So they get out of that. They get to face Germany, who they had beat in the group stage by a lot. So not that it's always going to happen that way. Maybe Germany gets their um, revenge or whatever. But hey, good chance for the USA to get to the gold medal match. So that'll be interesting. On the men's side, a little bit of a disappointment. They lose to Morocco 4-0. And God, we were kind of talking about this off air when it comes to talking about television and stuff, but I feel like sometimes talking anything U.S. soccer has been a pain on social media lately. I saw a lot of people saying how big of a disappointment this was, and I get it. We lost to Morocco 4-0. Morocco brought a lot of their players that they could. Like, they brought a really great squad. They're playing well, and it's like, hey, for me, maybe I know people will probably say this is the reason U.S. soccer is never going to be good. It's because of the way that my mentality is. But after missing the Olympics for 16 years and haven't gotten to the knockout stage since 2000, that's 24 years. I'm happy with how this went for us. I mean, like, yeah, I wish we would have beat Morocco, but I'm not like sitting here stewing on it like we didn't qualify for the World Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been wanting to get back to the Olympics. We got to the Olympics. We made it out of the group when I saw a lot of people say, and they're probably going to lose and not get out of the group. And then we get out of the group. And yeah, we lose to a good Morocco team. So for me, I wouldn't say a success, but like, hey, this is what we should be doing. We should be getting to the Olympics. We should be getting out of the group. Hopefully, next Olympics, we get to the tournament. We get out of the group. We get past this round. I don't know what else more there is to say in that regard. We got to the quarters. Yes, we could have got to the semis, but whatever. Spain ends up beating Morocco 2-1, and France beats Egypt 3-1. Egypt had taken the lead earlier today, but it went extra time, and France ended up winning that game 3-1. I don't know, Logan. Am I being too lenient on the U.S. under 23s and their performance in this knockout stage, or the Olympics as a whole?
No, I mean I think they got to a point where people expected them to be experts, not Twitter junkies or robots that are out there um, tweeting different things. And like you and I said, there's just so much right now in the world that I think people are wanting to overreact. I think what I think has been an issue, and it has kind of been boiling beneath the surface, and I think it's finally starting to surface a lot, is that people believe that can become these I guess like these sports hot take Twitter accounts, or that people always think that their opinion is right. That is something that I think you and I pride ourselves in, and this show is that you and I are quick to be humbled and quick to also admit that we're wrong, and I like to admit that I'm wrong. um, there are things where I you know,
Sometimes Logan is purposely wrong, so that
yes.
way people can tell him he was wrong.
Yeah, like I cannot believe Jordan, I cannot believe that Kevin De Bruyne is gonna sign for Orlando City. Like I just
Oh, you're wrong.
yeah. So well, I mean, then I'll be wrong. But no, it is. It's like it gives people a voice and it's good, but I think there's a lot of people that look for validation in the thinking that they have, and I think people are quick to jump on board with somebody else when they see that a big crowd or a big group is after a certain group or team or entity, and I think that's ultimately what we see here with U.S. men's national team, well, the Olympic roster, even with the U.S. men's national team. But I think this is exactly what we needed. We needed to get back into the Olympics, be a competitive team in the Olympics. We did it away from home. It was in France. That's a tough place to go. A lot of their fans are traveling to go see these games. We brought a roster that was very young and did not really include any of our first team guys. These are all kids that are or have aspirations of being that next generation. And I think you saw some of that. I think, you look up and down the roster and a guy like Schulte who's getting experience, that Gaga Slanina is getting international experience. You've got guys on kind of the edge and the cusp, and Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman. You get Caleb Wiley, some experience, Gianluca Buzio, Kramashi. I thought Georgi Mihailovic made a case for himself to be kind of like what Roldan was, where he comes along with. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's a really good experience for all these young guys: Paxton Aronson, Duncan McGuire, Kevin Paredes. Like these are all really good moments. Jordan, these were moments that the guys currently sitting on the U.S. men's national team roster did not have. So think about it like that. If you're a U.S. men's national team fan, think about the lack of experience that the very young U.S. men's national team has, and now compare it to this is the next generation of players, and this will continue to be a successful team. We've now kind of built a foundation. This is kind of like that baseline, and we destroyed that baseline because we had that generational gap. Now, I don't think we have that. I think we're just finding what other countries did to build a good team is you find these outliers, you find these pieces that could possibly and could be a really crucial or critical part to your team going forward. So I think it was exactly what the U.S. needed. Not really the result anybody wants, right, as a competitor, but I think a result well deserved.
Yeah, for me, it's like, look, how many people actually take the Olympics seriously in soccer to the point of
None, because it's after
like,
the Euros.
right? But I mean, like,
Yeah.
what, like Mexico's gotten a gold medal, right?
Mhm.
A few years ago, and has that really translated that much to their Mexican side? No, right? Like
Yeah.
they're still historically not doing so great right now. But these games are meant to be, like you said, giving that a world class experience that they're getting on a stage like this to prepare for what ultimately is 2026. Would I have taken a medal? Yeah, like if we had gotten a gold medal, I'd be like celebrating that like crazy. But at the end of the day, this is really just like the whole reason we've been wanting to get to the Olympics was that way so our youngsters can get experience and play in meaningful games outside of CONCACAF and outside of like the World Cups, like the U-17 World Cups and the U-20 World Cups and stuff like that. So all in all, that's what they did. So we'll see how it goes from there. Before we move on to League's Cup, I did want to bring up the rumor of the U.S. soccer coaching position. Um, so it looks like Pellegrino Matarazzo, right, who is Hoffenheim's coach, was there was rumors he was given an offer from the U.S. men's national team. Um, Today, it's come around saying that maybe he's staying at Hoffenheim. It sounds like, I don't know, this headline from this Twitter was very confusing the way it worded. There was a request from U.S. Soccer on Matarazzo's side, right? But there is no talks with Hoffenheim yet. There's no offer. So it sounds like maybe Pellegrino and U.S. Soccer were talking, but they haven't got the approval of Hoffenheim. So we'll see if Hoffenheim will be willing to let him go, or how that would happen. It doesn't sound like Pellegrino has like declined it. It sounds like more like this might be a thing with the club and him, if any of this is actually even true. But um, I've seen a lot of people say they'd be okay with this hire. He is an American. He did well in the Bundesliga with a couple clubs, getting them like mid-table finishes after promotions and stuff. So he's kind of like both, right? He has experience internationally in the sense of Germany, not like a international team, but like in another country, and he also has experience as being American and doing well at that level. So I don't know. We'll see if that actually happens or not. To me, I don't know if this is actually who they would go with, or that they would already be offering. I feel like they would have to have a few names and be interviewing. I don't know if they would already have put an offer out. So I don't think that part of the story is probably true.
Yeah, I saw a point where he came out and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." That's the I have had no contact with the. I did not have any. That's the wrong. I can't say that on the air. We're not that kind of podcast. But yeah, no, Jordan, I did. I saw where he came out and because probably Hoffenheim went, dude, what? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I love this so much though. Is like people. This is one thing that I think they have a hard time wrapping their heads around this time too. Is like these coaches aren't going to come out and say yeah, yeah, we're having discussions. It's going real well. Here's all the money they're offering me. It's probably a good offer. Like they're not going to come out and be. What do you want from people to say? Like they're going to say, of course, they're going to say, "Oh no, we haven't really had discussions." Or if they're going to tell you they've had discussions, like, yeah, I mean, it's something that's interesting. It's always the same two lines. It's never anything different. People always expect people to come out and say, "Oh, that's 100% true." Yeah, that. I mean, could you imagine if coaches and players started coming out and saying, "Yep, you're right. That's exactly what's happened." Yep. So it's just funny to me when we get into this. I
Yeah.
will say though, Jordan, it does put me in a place of concern just for the fact that I do feel like the U.S. men's national team, for as long as I've been around, really covering it too, is that they do seem to want to just kind of throw names out there and see if they kind of stick. It kind of feels like they
I don't
do
know
it
if
for
this is them though. Like, so this was reported by the Bild and
yeah.
Kicker, which are German things, and the Bild is, from what I read from German fans and stuff, not very accurate. Kicker is maybe more accurate, but so they both had this story. But I saw a lot of people say when it was first reported by the Bild, like, this is BS. Don't believe them. They're like the Daily Mail, and you know, the fact is, like you said, if Pellegrino's come out and said like, no, this is not true, which they would do anyway. But like, look, that could be, it could have just been total BS, and it could be for some reason the German press running with the story. Maybe he was even just approached to be interviewed, and they heard that and they spun it a different way or something. I don't know. Because he doesn't really seem like U.S. men's national team manager, like that you would go and offer him this right away. Like I feel like you would have to have had other talks with other people, which we haven't really heard.
Feels like honestly, to me, it feels like if he's done well in Hoffenheim and Hoffenheim starts to do well, this is a point of leverage. That's also what these agents will use is they will put these names out there and these bugs out there because they want their client to get more money or to be offered another position. So it's the same kind of thing I think with when you kind of look around it. What the other international teams do is like with Jurgen Klopp, for instance. I think a lot of that is the U.S. has had discussion with Jurgen Klopp. Well, that makes it sound like a more desirable place to be is the U.S. men's national team. I think the teams and the federations use it. I think agents use it. I think clubs use it. So I think they're all kind of this. They try to work each other over because in the end, somebody wants something. They want something to gain out of it. So when I first heard this, I was like, that's an interesting one. It does reek of U.S. men's national team that kind of hire because it's not the sexy hire. However, that being said, if you do look at this and it is true, I think it would be an interesting fit. I don't know if it, I don't know much about Hoffenheim and the style of play, but I think the experience is there. Like I think we need to go more international with the players that we have, just because of the system. If we're not going to stick with Chirondolo, but maybe this is another thing with Chirondolo. Maybe this is like the U.S. men's national team is negotiating with Chirondolo, and Chirondolo is like, I need more money, and the U.S. men's national team's like, oh yeah, we'll take this. We're going to go leak this out to the German press that we're going to go after this guy over here, and that makes Chirondolo's camp kind of shaky. So it's like, it's interesting. I think all of it's pretty fascinating, but especially in soccer, I've always found that fascinating because unlike other sports, it really does seem like soccer just picks up steam from all these different random places
Yeah.
and actual legit people run with it. And it's like, whoa, it's very alarming at first, I think, if you're getting into the game.
All right. I'm not expecting a U.S. coach named anytime soon,
What
unfortunately.
what's the deadline? U.S. men's national team, like Jordan, like if you're
January 1st.
okay,
January 1st. That way they
yeah,
have January camp. They're not going to get the big people for that anyway, but
yeah.
they would have a year and a half. Ideally, I would love that for September friendlies. I just don't know with the club season and everything going on about to start. I don't know if that they will be able to. If they go with somebody like Trundolo or an MLS coach, January 1st, because they'll be able to interview him after MLS Cup, and I feel like get a good person that way. I worry about a European coach because if they don't get the European coach now, like in the next couple weeks, then that European coach, unless they're fired mid-season, they
Right.
wouldn't be coming into the job until probably June, which means they would only have a year to get ready to know the pool and stuff. I'm not a fan of that. Not a
That's a
fan
good
of that.
point. I didn't think about that. Also, I think you made it, or it's an interesting point to make, is that the U.S. might have really screwed this up, Jordan. Like, ultimately, we're getting down to this decision that needs to be made, and I think it's going to be Chirundolo. That's where all my money would be. But like, Copa was it. I mean, we that was the big competition that I think we needed to see some things, and we saw Greg's last few days as the U.S. men's national team manager. I
Yeah,
just feel like we
I think it
really
would have been.
screwed it.
I don't know. I think it would have been really mean to Greg to fire him before Copa to give him that
Yeah,
chance. The real time was after the World Cup,
yeah,
right? The real time was after the World Cup. Say thank you, Greg, for everything you did. We're gonna go ahead and now find somebody else to put in position, and they'll get the these next 4 years. They'll have Copa, they'll have Gold Cups, and they'll be prepared for um, the World Cup 2026. Because here's another thing: they definitely need the coach soon. Because guess what? There's a Gold Cup next year. So let's say they get a European coach for June of next year. They're going to be going in a Gold Cup, learning the team and stuff. It has to be. I said deadline January 1st. That's the deadline. September friendlies would be the preferential way to go. You want somebody in place. Look, in FIFA, you can be both an international coach and a club coach. Maybe somebody will be able to do that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
do that in my careers.
yeah.
Okay. Um, man, we had a full week of Leagues Cup that took place from July 30th to now August. We're in the month of August. Also, happy anniversary, Logan.
Thank you.
11 years ago,
Appreciate that.
we started
Yeah, we did.
working for the Mouse, Walt Disney World. That's how we met. Today, August 5th, is our 11th years since we
Moved in
started
together.
doing that. And this podcast would not exist without that. So, a good way to acknowledge that.
11 years, man. I feel old. I feel
Me
so
too,
old.
because that 11 years felt like 5.
It did. It really did.
All right, so we had Montreal beat San Luis. We had Pachuca beat New York on penalty kicks. Minnesota beat Nicasia. Monterrey lost to Austin as Austin continued stepping up in this tournament here. Monterrey was the second seed, by the way. Austin 37th. LAFC Lost to Vancouver on penalties. That finished 2-2. Very exciting game that was on Tuesday night. Wednesday, because Vancouver had a 2-0 lead. I remember I turned it on. I was like, wow, Vancouver's winning 2-0. Then boom, LAFC equalize. And then Vancouver wins on penalties after some really bad penalties for LAFC. 4-2 being the penalty shootout. Wednesday, Charlotte beat Cruz Azul on penalties after a 0-0 draw. DC beat Santos Laguna. That was at Subaru Park in front of like 5 people. And I saw people getting upset about that. But guess what? This was a very late change in the schedule. Like, and there was also a friendly in Philly proper that people probably already had tickets for. But whatever. Like, I don't think. I know people will probably be like, "Oh, look, DC fans didn't even travel." The trip from DC to Philly, on 95, to get up there on a weekday. This is not a weekend game. This was a Wednesday night game right after rush hour. I tell you, that is, as somebody living in the area, that I would not want to make that drive either. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. Logan, we were near DC. We were at BWI.
We were,
and we were stuck in traffic for how long because of the bridge collapse? You know, so that was during a rush hour period. And that's probably 45 minutes from DC. So if you're a DC fan, having to travel through that all the way through Baltimore, up 95 to reach Chester, Pennsylvania, that's not a fun trip as somebody that does it. And on a last minute change like that, no, I'm sorry. And guess what? DC rewarded their fans who stayed home and watched the game, and they won 3-0 over Santos Laguna. What are we doing? Juarez beats Dallas 2-0. Mazatlan beats Nashville 2-0. Tigres beat Puebla 2-1. San Jose lost to LA Galaxy 2-1. Thursday, we had Cincinnati beat Querétaro. RSL beat Atlas 2-1. Toluca beating Chicago 3-1. And Portland beating Colorado 4-0 as Portland's kind of back in form, tearing it up. Saturday, August 3rd, Tigres beat Miami 2-1. Pumas beat Monterrey 1-1 on penalties. 3-0 on penalties. Vancouver beat Tijuana 3-1. Oh yeah, I was watching that game on Saturday, and Tijuana scored like early. 8 minutes in, I believe. Let's see if it tells me the real time or if it all says 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, they scored 8 minutes in, and then I think I went to bed before it was. I went to bed when it was 2-1, I believe, or maybe 1-1. There was a red card to Tijuana, and then Fafa Picault had equalized in the 49th minute. Yeah, so Vancouver doing very well in Leagues Cup right now. Santos Laguna beat Atlanta on penalties, so Atlanta knocked out yesterday. Orlando beat San Luis on penalties. Toronto beat Pachuca 2-1. Philadelphia drew with Cruz Azul but lost on penalties. But Philly still tops the group. Guess who's mid now? St. Louis drew with Juarez, but Juarez wins the penalties 4-1. Ugh. And LA Galaxy beat Chivas on penalties 5-4. And Acasa beat Seattle 3-1. All right. So let's take a look at the group standings here. In East 1, Cincinnati and NYCFC should be going through. Cincy and NYCFC have to figure out what order they're going through because they've each played one game, but Querétaro is already eliminated. So Cincy and NYCFC should be through. 3 points, 2 points, 1 point for Querétaro. East 2, Orlando, 5 points. I think that wins them the group. What's the X clinching? Yeah, first place in a group. So Orlando has clinched first place in their group in East 2. Montreal gets second, and San Luis is eliminated. East 3, Tigres and Miami are moving through. Tigres won the group. Miami is through as the second place team. Puebla is eliminated. 0 points. East 4, Philadelphia Union, 4 points. They won the group. Cruz Azul with 3 points move on, and Charlotte are eliminated. If Philly had won the shootout, Charlotte would have advanced, and Cruz Azul would have been out. East 5, New England and Mazatlan are currently through. Nashville is currently eliminated, but they're not ruled out. So the way that this is going to work is next time they play, Nashville has... So New England has 3 points, Mazatlan has 3, and Nashville has 0. So if Nashville wins, they'll all be tied with 3 points, and we'll have to go to tiebreakers. And they play the Revs to figure that out. East 6, Toronto wins the group. Pachuca gets second. Red Bulls eliminated. East 7, DC United win the group. Santos in second. Atlanta eliminated. Didn't we joke that DC was going to win this group?
I think so.
I think we joked about that.
That sounds
like
right.
Yeah. I think that was one of the teams you definitely said was not getting out of the group.
Yeah, I'm going to say that was definitely one. Because I think we even made the joke of like, even though Atlanta's been bad, I think DC just doesn't get out of that group. There's no way. And sure enough. See, I'm wrong.
Yeah, he loves being wrong.
Love it, baby.
So all the people that don't want Cherundolo to be manager, you have a good shot because Logan's typically wrong.
There you go.
West 1, Austin wins the group, 6 points. Pumas in second with 2 points. Monterrey eliminated. I think they just fired their coach too. LA Galaxy win West 2. San Jose move on, and Chivas are eliminated. West 3, we have Juarez, which are winning the group. St. Louis gets second place with 4 points, and Dallas eliminate with a big, fat 0 points. Not many MLS teams with 0 points, but here's a string of them right here. So West 4, Toluca are currently moving on. So our SKC with 3 points each. They're battling it out to see who's first and who's second, as Chicago is eliminated with 0 points. West 5, Portland, 6 points after 2 games. That's 3 points per match. Leon, 0 points. Colorado, 0 points. They have to face each other, though, to see who is going to move on. Necaxa is moving on with 3 points. Seattle is moving on with 3 points, and Minnesota is eliminated with 3 points. All came down to goal differential, it looks like, or goals for. Depending, I don't know which way they go, but I'll see if I can find an answer on that. But both of them are in. It would be the same structure. West 7, Vancouver moving on top of the group with 5 points. LAFC in second with 4. Tijuana eliminated with 0. And then West 8, RSL and Atlas currently have 3 points. Houston have 0, but RSL and Houston have to face off. So tiebreakers go direct head-to-head match result if the clubs are tied. Better goal differential, and then greater number of goals scored, and then fewer of goals conceded. And then club fair play table and picking by straws if not. Okay. So I'm going to share the knockout round here on our screen because this is probably a good way if you're watching the video to kind of get a good look at what's happening. Okay. So round of 32 is starting on the 7th. We have Club America and Columbus. Oh, sorry. They'll play on the 9th though, but there are some games on the 7th. Is that what it says? Yeah, that's weird. So they get an even longer bye. But on the 9th, Club America will play somebody that's still to be determined. And Columbus will play somebody that's still to be determined. So right now, who we have, the matchups we have are St. Louis and Portland, Seattle and LA Galaxy, Vancouver and Pumas, San Jose and Nakasa, LAFC and Austin, Miami and Toronto, Tigres and Pachuca, Orlando and Cruz Azul, Philly, Montreal. So, what do you make of these matchups as they currently stand here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting ones. The US is, or sorry, the MLS teams are drawing some of the big guns. I think it'll be fun because I really do. I think that an MLS team could do pretty well out of this tournament just because of the what we've seen so far. It seems like the MLS has kind of surprised some of these Liga MX teams. I think we've got some really intriguing matchups. I think Orlando's matchup with Cruz Azul is going to be really rough. Um, Orlando's looked pretty good, but Cruz Azul's been pretty decent as well. Um, I think it's intriguing to see Toronto going up against Miami because my Toronto beat Pachuca, who won the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Um, Toronto looking to bounce Miami, who won Leagues Cup. That'll be an interesting one. I think that could be an intriguing matchup. Um, Columbus is yet to play. Jordan, that's what I was thinking about with these clubs that haven't played, like Club America and the Crew. I always worry about teams taking these longer breaks because they typically come out rusty. And if you're talking about MLS, I mean Columbus, they haven't played in a while, and so coming out and having to play a team that's maybe second, I think, in their group. Is going to be pretty interesting just because they've had to compete with these other teams, played 2 games against others. And so they're kind of coming in. They might have been on a longer break as well. But yeah, no, I think we got some interesting matchup. The Philadelphia and Montreal game, like that just kind of shows you that 2 teams that aren't really doing it in the league are doing it. They're 10 and 11 in the league. But right now, I mean, they're 2 of the hottest teams in League's Cup. So that's what I love about these kind of tournaments. I love these midseason tournaments because it does kind of give you some playoff implications that aren't really the playoffs, but they have that playoff intensity. Um, they have that kind of feel to it. So yeah, I think I will enjoy a lot of these matchups. Austin and LAFC. Austin, one of the hottest teams right now in League's Cup, but LAFC, one of the hottest teams in the league. So what does that look like? Are we going to see Olivier Giroud? Sounds like he might make his debut against Austin in League's Cup. So there's a lot of fascinating headlines here. Teams that are actually not playing as well in MLS are playing really well in League's Cup. DC United. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. I love these 32 teams, man. That's a lot of teams getting ready to knock each other out. Single game elimination. Um, do they do extra time? Do we know that? Do we know if it's straight to penalties? I would
I
imagine it's straight to
forget
penalties.
how they did it. I think for the knockouts it goes straight to penalties, but I think the final goes extra time, right? Because we went extra time all the way to penalties for the final, Miami and Nashville.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's just the final that goes extra time. Let me see if there's a. Do we have like a rules page here? Format points. Okay, group stage, knockout rounds. Um, it doesn't really say though. Yeah, the knockout round begins with a round of 32. The winner of round of 32 will go in round of 16. Like the most basic stuff that everybody understands. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to say for the knockout. From what I remember of last year, I thought they went right to it except for the final. I don't even know where else to check. Like if the Leagues Cup website doesn't say it.
Right.
Kind of wonder where else I would be able to see that. Hmm. That's what I would go with. I would go
Yeah.
with, I think, everything but the final goes extra time. I'm going to quickly see if I can locate last year's results, which should tell me the answer.
It is strange though. It's like, how is that not explained?
Yeah, that stuff should be in the rules. Even if it, what I was going to say, even if it does go extra time and that's the typical standard, it should still say that in the rules of you will have 2 15-minute extra time periods. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should still say that,
Right.
but it doesn't. So let me check last year's, if any games went extra time in the okay, so it looks like it went to a penalty shootout in the knockout stage for a couple of games. And I'm trying to see. Okay.
Oh, there's an article. Here we go.
Is there?
There's one from last year, so I'm assuming it stayed the same. Um, as was in the case with group stage, any knockout match that
No
finishes
extra
this
time.
level, no extra time will go straight to penalty shootout.
Yes, and actually the final did as well. I thought the final went extra time. I'm looking back now. So any time that they go just like, and I want to be clear on that because sometimes the group stage would be different because they're just trying to like get through the group stage. So
Right.
wanting to make sure that we're clear on that. Yeah, wow. Okay, I could have sworn there was extra time in the final. I guess I'm just dumb. Couldn't remember.
Old age happens.
Yeah, it does happen. All right, so the games that are currently going to take place to get ourselves the rest of those teams that need to get to the knockout stage, some are taking place today. So the day that you're listening to this, it may already be done, but Cincy and NYCFC at 8 o'clock, Apple TV for free. Houston and RSL, 9 o'clock, Apple TV for free. Leon and Colorado at 9 o'clock. Toluca and SKC at 9 o'clock. That's free and on Unimas and FS1. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, New England and Nashville, free on Apple TV and on FS1. Then on 8/7, we have the knockout stage begin. LAFC and Austin at 10:30. Vancouver and Pumas at 10:30. And then some of these don't have times yet. August 8th, Miami and Toronto. San Jose, Necasa. Seattle, LA Galaxy. Tigres, Pachuca. Those are all on August 8th. We don't know times. August 9th, Columbus versus TBC. Club America versus TBC. And DC versus TBC. Then on 8/9, we also have Orlando, Cruz Azul. Philly, Montreal. St. Louis and Portland. And TBC versus Santos Laguna.
Here, you want to do something for me?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the standings for Leagues Cup? And I'll fill in your blanks. That's what she
Okay.
said. So yeah, let me do that. So give me the East 1 winner right now as it stands.
East 1 winner right now is Cincinnati.
They would play against Santos Laguna.
Okay.
Give me the West 4 runner up.
West 4 runner up is currently SKC.
So SKC would face off against the Columbus Crew.
All right, sorry, Kansas City.
Yeah, that's rough. That doesn't matter how long of a break you've had. All right, East 5 runner up.
East 5 runner up is Mazatlan.
Oh, they automatically lose. They're playing DC United if they
get DC United. Yeah.
East 1 runner up is
currently NYCFC
against the East 5 winner,
which is currently New England.
All right. So NYCFC in New England then. Interesting. All right, going to the West 8 runner up.
West 8 runner up as of this recording is Atlas.
All right, they'll play Club America. So
Hmm.
Liga MX battle. That'd be pretty interesting.
It could also
Um,
be Houston or RSL, depending on how it shakes out
yeah,
tonight.
right. So how about West 5 runner up?
West 5 runner up is Club Leon.
Club Leon will play Juarez.
And that's locked in. It's going to be Leon or Colorado.
Okay.
Portland is set as the first one. So Club Leon and Colorado are battling it out for the right to face who?
Juarez.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the last one, Jordan, is West 4 winner versus the West 8 winner.
It's currently Toluca for West 4 versus RSL for West 8.
All right. So RSL could potentially be a threatening team in that breakdown. But yeah, those are filling in the to be determines. So
Good. Thank you. I couldn't find where it said it on here on who
I found it
wins
on
who.
MLS's website.
Oh,
Yeah.
again, just so confusing the way they have this
It
structured.
and so what's really funny to me, Jordan, is that you can tell the people that did the Leagues Cup website are also the people that designed
It's
the
the
MLS
same
website.
exact
Yeah,
setup. Yeah.
it's the exact same. It's so strange. And it has MLS's season
And
pass
as I
link.
said, last week, you cannot find the link to the Leagues Cup website
Uh-huh.
easily on
Right.
MLSsoccer.com. Like you think it would just be a tab at the top, like Leagues Cup.
Right.
No.
Nope. Nowhere. Like you have to dig. And then Jordan, what I also noticed is if you go into Apple, so I think Apple works with MLS to do their websites because they all look the same. The branding. But another thing that I noticed, if you go to Apple TV, Leagues Cup has a separate tab from MLS, and Leagues Cup is covered pretty darn well on Apple. If you've not yet ventured over to the Leagues Cup like tab on Apple TV, if you don't have Apple
I
TV
haven't been
Plus,
able to
like
find the tab. Mine when I
it's
go on, I have to go to MLS Season Pass to find the
okay.
games.
So I do it on my phone. Maybe it's different from so like when
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do it on the phone. And it's really cool. It's got like the standings up there and like you can swipe through them and like it really is laid out pretty well. It's got goals, it's got storylines, it's got breakdowns, it's got all sorts of things. But I will say that the one critique I have of Apple TV and the MLS Pass and that stuff is on a TV it is difficult to find things for Apple TV Plus and MLS Season Pass. The Apple TV version of it sucks. Like the TV on the TV, like
Hmm.
on my laptop and on tablets, no issue. But for some reason on the TV, it sucks.
So out of the knockout stage games that we do know, which one intrigues you the most?
Mm. I'm trying not to be a homer. Okay, I don't have to be a homer. I think Toronto and Miami, honestly. Um, I think because of how well Toronto has played bigger clubs in this tournament, um, and Toronto kind of has like that magic touch where they could be the one to upset people. Like if they got an MLS Cup playoffs, like they're a team I have on the watch out. They could be trouble because of the talent that they have on that roster. And then they add Derek Etienne, and he went nuts. He went absolutely crazy. He's had like 6 goal contributions since they acquired him. So I think they are a team that could be a threat, not only in this tournament, but this is like those. This Jordan, and I read this on MLS's website, and I kind of want to ask you a question before I ask you what matchup you're going to pick, because it kind of relates to your team and maybe Orlando as well, and Toronto put them in that bucket, Portland put them in that bucket. Like, is this kind of tournament one of those ones that this turns a season around for teams? Like, do you think it's safe to say that some of these teams are back on track because they've had success and could have success going forward because of Leagues Cup?
Yeah, I think we saw it last year with Miami.
Yeah.
They won it, and it kind of propelled them. Not enough to get in the playoffs; they were such a deep hole, but they started playing better, and they were acclimating themselves. That at the beginning of this year, they were taken off, right? And I think without winning Leagues Cup, maybe that still happens. But I think getting that trophy early from Messi's career in Miami and getting everybody on page kind of put them in like, all right, now let's go do it on a longer scale, like a bigger scale. I think we're seeing it with Austin. I would hope, right? Austin did so well in their group, and they have the chance to propel this. I see a lot of Austin fans being like, "Don't care until we're out of 10th in MLS or whatever." enjoy these wins. And hopefully it does translate. Hopefully the players are feeling better and playing better, and that they go out there and they turn it around and they start climbing up the table again. Like, I think that can propel a team like Austin up the table. And guess what? They face LAFC. They face LAFC, which is my pick. LAFC and Austin. LAFC had an okay Leagues Cup, I would say, right? Like, they have what, 4 points? As it loads slowly for me, they had 4 points. Vancouver had beaten them, and then of course they beat Tijuana to start out the thing. But so I guess you could say maybe if Vancouver had won 2-0 without letting them back in and then going to penalties, LAFC would have been like maybe a little bit more down. But maybe because that opened up the door for LAFC and they came back 2-2. And yes, they lost in penalties, but they were able to get the point at least for going to penalties. I'm just like, I think this Austin team can really show a lot if they beat LAFC here. LAFC was kind of, struggling a bit in the league before this Leagues Cup, right? Like they got smashed by Columbus Crew before going into this tournament. I'd be really curious to see Austin, who did well against those Mexican sides. Can they take down LAFC, who they are very intimate with? They're both Western Conference teams. How can that, how will that happen? What can you guys do? Each other. Is it a little bit different? And LAFC, I'm constantly watching them right now because Trondolo has been linked to the job, and I'm looking to see how they look. They now have, Giroux on the team, so lots of fun stuff going on there as well. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm very curious to see that matchup because I think this Austin team could maybe give them some trouble with the way that they've been playing lately.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I mean, that game is going to be very intriguing. And oh boy, if Austin beat LAFC, you're never going to hear the end of that one.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hear the end of that one. I always thought that would be a great rivalry, and it could still be. But Austin just kind of fell off the table after that successful run that they had in year 2.
And what you want to look out for the one you picked, Miami and Toronto.
Yeah.
You just want to look and see if there's any drones flying above the stadium the day before.
Yeah. And they might not be like dragons from How to Train Your Dragon over at Universal Studios. That's the wrong podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right, Jordan. Jesse Marsh, we got our eye on you. Well, John Herdman.
Herdman, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Jesse
wrong.
Marsh apparently
Jesse
said,
Marsh
no, we don't do that.
He's innocent. Yeah, he's innocent. As he's destroying. I just pictured Jesse destroying drones. Like he gets to the locker room first day, right? The office. Like, why the hell do I have all these drones? Like, what is this?
It's like that mission, and I think it's Spider-Man 2, which you haven't played yet. You have to play it. In Spider-Man 2, you have to go find all these like spider drones. That's what Jesse Marsh was doing. He's like going like swinging around trying to catch all the drones. But yeah, so that's most of what we got. I wish we were able to. I wish this was maybe structured a little bit better, where we were able to kind of have everything set before today.
Yeah.
So that way we could talk about all the preview matches. But we'll be back next Monday, probably talking about what happened in the week before. And round of 16 starts that Monday. So actually, we'll be caught up on round of 32 by then. So next week, you'll hear us talk about round of 32. We'll preview round of 16. And then some of those games are taking place that day. So, of course, by the time I edit and upload it, you'll probably have already had at least one or two of those matches happen. But what can we do? We're only human. All right. Well, a little shorter show today. Not too much to actually dive into here. MLS is continuing to thrive against Liga MX teams in Leagues Cup. Some of them got knocked out already, and we'll see how it goes from here. I really do wish that for next year they figure out a different structure for the groups. Mm-hmm. I do not like having 3-team groups, and I do not like having, it's very confusing to me on when each team plays
Yeah.
because of they're only playing 2 games. And you have 3 teams having to play 2 games, which means there's match days where that team isn't playing. It's a very odd structure. I really wish that they would just lower the number of groups and make them 4-team groups.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's do it.
I was gonna say I don't even know what the math is on that. Like, I don't know how many teams are in Liga MX. We have an odd number, but that's going to be fixed soon because we'll have San Diego enter.
We're adding San Diego.
Yeah. Liga MX has 20.
Yeah,
Or
what the
sorry,
hell
18. 18.
What the hell do we do then?
MLS has how many now? 29. So they'll have 30. So that'll be
30
and
plus
they'll have 18.
18, so we'll have
That's
48
That's fine.
divided
You can
by
split that by 4.
4. Is
Yeah,
that
you can do that by 4. Yeah.
so
It's
you don't
12.
give the bye to MLS Cup winners anymore?
Right. It's just you get 12 groups of 4. That
You
works
just
so
seed
much
them.
better.
You just seed them better. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cup winners. Yeah.
Right. Honestly, you give them the better group probably. Like you give
like
them
the easier group. You give them the least ranked, the worst ranked teams. Yeah.
Honestly, you do what Champions League does. Like you
Put them in
draw.
pots. Pot 1,
I think you
pot
draw
2.
them.
Yeah.
I think that's the fix because and then they're not even basing them on this year's performance because they're different because Apertura and Clausura screw everything up and they're on a different time period than we are. So I don't like that we're basing this off of the success they had last year. Like that just seems really stupid.
We'll definitely see some changes going in the next year because of the number of MLS clubs expanding. So we'll see how it works from there. And we'll hopefully get news on that early in the year next year so we can prepare. I'm hoping that really changes the structure of the tournament. Because right now I found myself not as invested as I was last year with it. And part of it is because of this weird group structure.
Yeah.
It's just like it for some of the stuff there wasn't a lot of stakes, right? Like there was in like Philly's group. It was like, oh, if Cruz Azul wins, they're through. Or if they lose, Charlotte's through, and that's interesting. But there's some teams that were already, lost a game and they were out. So it's like whatever.
Yeah.
And you have some matches that are just for seeding purposes. So, so please maybe expand it to 4-team groups. I think that would work a lot better because then once you have a team eliminated, I mean, there's a big gap before they play again.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you want to give us any sort of feedback, give us your way you would structure Leagues Cup. Send it at Stateside Show on all of our social media, statesideShow@gmail.com for long form emails. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you next time.